Hey everyone, just thought I would drop a video with some information on the entire Olympic breaking saga. So first and foremost, it's not called breakdancing, it's called breaking. So I will refer to it as breaking. Now, an organization that you need to be aware of is the World Dance Sport Federation, the WDSF. Now, they've been around since the 70s, and since then, they've been trying to push ballroom dancing into the Olympics for over 40 years, unsuccessfully. They finally did get into the Olympics once they linked up with breaking, and the previous head of the WDSF was a big supporter of breaking and did a lot to get it into the Olympics. Now, a lot of people aren't aware that a precursor to the Olympics is the Youth Olympics. In 2018 in Argentina was the first time that breaking appeared at an Olympic level, and it was the most popular event at those Youth Olympics. The head of the IOC, the International Olympic Committee, was actually not even sitting in the stands. He was sitting on the floor with the other fans, transfixed on these amazing athletes who were breaking. So it was looking good at the time. However, the WDSF is not really managed that well, and they dropped the ball. They had 6 years to prepare for the Olympics, and they just didn't prepare properly. They could have done so much more marketing. Their social media was handled terribly. They should have done more outreach to the younger generations, and they could have created a legitimate global scene and a grassroots movement for breaking and incorporated stuff like leagues and really done a lot more than they did, which was, not that great. Now, that would have led to getting more funding, and the funding would have helped create a better overall qualifying process. So if you're wondering why breaking won't be back at the Olympics in 2028 in Los Angeles, you can pretty much blame the WDSF for that. And that was actually decided before this event even started. So it had nothing to do with any of the dancers in Paris. It was already decided not to bring it back for LA. They also messed up by, what they should have done is put the men's competition first and then the women the next day, because then that would have been the initial, the first impression basically would have been the best of the best at a higher level, and that would have changed things also. So, also worth noting that back in the Youth Olympics, they had a different judging system. I believe it was called Trivium, and by all accounts, it was quite popular, and it was pretty decent. So for some reason, they changed that when it came time to hold the event in Paris. Now, there were some legitimate OGs and respected members of the hip-hop community who were involved with the WSF and Olympic breaking. For example, DJ Renegade and a b-boy named Storm from Germany, who is an OG, highly respected b-boy, and he's done a lot for the b-boy community over his career. They actually left the WDSF 2 years ago because they disagreed with some of the decisions that the organization was making and the direction that it was going into. Allegedly, the WDSF was scared of having a breaking takeover of the organization, because you got to remember they were their focus was ballroom dancing, and I think they maybe might have felt a little bit threatened by how popular breaking was getting, and they just didn't want that. So they just made terrible decisions, and it didn't work out. It wasn't what's best. They weren't doing what's best for the breaking community, and that's why, unfortunately, these respected OGs left. Also, I heard that there was a b-boy from Taiwan, b-boy Bojin, who was the global representative for breaking from Taiwan, or Chinese Taipei if you're speaking Olympics, and apparently he really didn't understand the breaking culture and couldn't even really speak English, so that's not ideal for a global representative. Now, when it came to the Olympic judging, it was a very difficult process to become an Olympic judge. A lot of OGs, they probably felt that they put in a lot of hard yards throughout their career, and when breaking came to the Olympics, they were just expecting a call, and they didn't make any effort to become a judge. which you just can't do that. You gotta put yourself forward, and you gotta make yourself available. Basically, no one's gonna call you. Now, something to note about the judging is there's no points. When they said that some of the breakers got no points, it's not like gymnastics where you get like a 9 for this move, 8.5 for this move. It's not like that. Basically, each battle was 2 rounds, and each round is judged as a whole. So there's 9 different judges, and they simply vote for which breaker won the round based on the criteria of the judging, which was quite comprehensive. Now, breakers need to understand the judging system if they want to win. It's not always who's the best dancer, it's who performs better on the day. And arguably, being the best means being able to understand the judging system and also being flexible with regards to how you dance based on what the judges are actually looking for. Now, a lot of people who watch breaking don't really understand the intricacies. For example, being on beat is a huge one. On beat just means that you are dancing in time with the music. If you're not listening to the music and you're off beat, you can be doing the most spectacular, amazing power moves, backflips, everything, whatever, but you won't win a breaking battle. A judge will see the other breaker who comes in, and they might just do like a little bit of dancing, a little bit of floor work, really basic stuff, but because they're on beat and they're listening to the music and they're expressing that musicality, most judges will give that win to the person who's on beat. So you got to remember that this is a dance first and foremost. And you know, an average person might see some of these battles and they might be confused. They're wondering why this person won, and sometimes that's basically it. It comes down to they just weren't dancing. Now, to partner with the IOC, like to be an international federation for the Olympics, is extremely difficult. As you can imagine, it's the Olympics, right? So to partner with the IOC requires 70, that's 70 member countries. And each of those countries have their own representative who may or may not be competent and really care about what they're doing. And all of those member countries need to be active, which means they need to hold events. They have to have national championships once a year. That's just to get a sport into the Olympics. So you can imagine how difficult the entire process is. And then you've got the issue of potential corruption and dodgy behavior within those federations. You know, there's always going to be people who are going to be chasing dollar signs and not doing what's best for the community. Now, in terms of regional qualifiers, North and South America were just the Americas, which I don't think is very fair because they're basically two continents, and there's so many good, amazing dancers, so many in those in North and South America and Central America. So, you know, because to be an Olympic sport, it has to have global representation. In my opinion, I would have separated Asia because Asia has a massive population, and I would have had East Asia qualifiers, and then I would have combined Southeast Asia with Oceania. To me, that's more fair because the Olympics is about finding the best in the world and then having them all compete together. And at the end of the day, it's all about funding. The WDSF doesn't really have a lot of money. And if you're wondering if breaking can come back in Brisbane 2032 Olympics, at the end of the day, it's about money. If someone comes along with $100 million, then we'll get breaking back into the Olympics. Now, the most famous breaker in the world right now is Raygun. Now and possibly forever. Now, this is a kind of a double-edged sword because she wasn't the best representation of breaking, but also any publicity is good publicity, and she got the entire world talking about breaking. And many people saw her and then they went and looked at who won and how amazing the other athletes and breakers were in that competition. Now, from what I heard from DJ Renegade, who knows Raygun, she actually went and trained at his place, at his venue for a bit. And he was just straight up. He told her that she has no chance. He recommended that she hit the gym, get stronger, and bring something to the table. Now, he reckons that she didn't have enough time, so she chose the expressive route of breaking. Now, that is actually part of the dance. many b-boys have done it. They've come in with their own style, quirkiness, all kinds of stuff. Some of it's a little bit questionable, and some pull it off better than others. One of them that comes to mind for me is a dancer named Rob Zilla from the States, and he based his character around Godzilla, so he incorporates a lot of character walks, like lizard walks, weird angles and stuff like that, and he actually pulls it off, and it looks really cool, and it's super original and expressive. Raygun didn't look expressive, it came off as goofy, and a lot of people, it looked like she was mocking the dance. A lot of people thought that she was mocking breaking. Now, the outfit didn't help either, but I believe that was a decision by the AOC, the Australian Olympic Commission, and it was an absolutely terrible decision. They were sponsored by ASICS, and that was a golden opportunity for their clothing brand to release maybe like a collection of street style clothing worn by the breakers at the Olympics, which could have boosted sales and also made our national breaking athletes look better and more appropriate for that sporting event. It's breaking, not cricket. Come on, guys. So in terms of Raygun, most people just saw an edited, like the memes and an edited version of the goofiest moves that she pulled out from the very last battle. But most people didn't bother to go and watch her entire performance. So she battled 3 different B-girls, and each battle was 2 rounds. The first battle, she actually came out breaking. Like, she can break, and she is decent for her generation and being Australian. She's not on a world level. But, you know, trust me, there are much, much worse B-girls out there. And also worth noting that breaking live at the Olympics, like, you can imagine how nerve-wracking that would be. I've performed on TV and it was pre-recorded, and, you know, I was super nervous. I can only imagine what it's like to perform live, literally in front of the entire world. So she wasn't ready for that, and she didn't do her best. In terms of her professional credentials, she has a PhD in cultural studies. There's no such thing as a PhD of breakdancing. It doesn't exist. However, her PhD thesis was based on the breakdancing scene. Now, her research papers, I disagree with the postmodern political stuff that she's decided to inject into the breaking scene. Personally, I find it unnecessary, disrespectful, and actually damaging to the culture. Now, while breaking is a highly competitive and at times aggressive dance style, it's also a very respectful scene where dancers support each other. And in terms of girls who break, they're generally welcomed and celebrated. Now, b-boys understand that women are not going to be at the same level as the men. But if those women put in the time and the hard work that's required to be a good breaker, then they definitely do receive the respect and the praise that they deserve from the community. Now, at the end of the day, Raygun did win the qualifier event of Oceania, which is an area that includes New Zealand and other islands in the region. How that happened, I can't say for sure. I know some American b-boys had to win up to 6 competitions to qualify, or they had to rack up points and then win a type of global, a wild card, like global event to be selected. So I kind of addressed that before with the different qualifiers and the regions and the populations. I think if they organize that in a better way, then it would be more effective for selecting the best dancers from around the world. As for Oceania, I know that some of the more experienced B-girls have kind of retired from competing. Apparently some recently have had babies and they're doing the mother thing. Some probably couldn't make the qualifying events for other reasons. And my personal assumption is that probably some of the best B-girls in Australia, they knew that they just couldn't hang with the world's best at an Olympic level, so they decided not to enter so they wouldn't get embarrassed. For the people who've been messaging me telling me that I should have entered for Australia, yes, I could have beaten Raygun at breaking, but I would have got absolutely smoked by every other woman in that competition. They were really good, and there's also a reason why we separate male and female competitors. Now, in terms of the global attention that Raygun has received, I will say that she definitely does not deserve any hate or harassment. Her family does not deserve harassment. Other B-girls who have nothing to do with this do not deserve harassment. If you directly message someone with insults, threats, and vitriol, then you're not a good person. But I know that none of my friends would do that. However, in my opinion, joking and having a laugh is completely fine and can actually be a part of making things better. I'm quoting OG Buddha Stretch when he says, "Do not clap for mediocrity." If you're friends with someone, you don't gas them up and tell them that they're good when they're not. You be honest with them. If they suck, you clown them, but in a friendly way. And you tell them what they need to work on and how to get better, and that's how you support them. So thanks for listening. If you'd like to see where I got most of this info from, check out the Instagram page of Buddha Stretch. He posted a live video on the 14th of August, which was an interview with DJ Renegade from the UK, who was directly involved with Olympic breaking. And a huge shout out to my good friend Will Falsify for linking me that video. Peace.